Hello and welcome back to our channel. As we discussed at the end of August, Yuzu has finally brought an amazing update for the game Bayonetta 3, which can provide a performance boost of up to 63%, depending on the hardware you're using. You can check out the video related to this update in the description below. I mentioned earlier that I was waiting for the emulator to receive more improvements before presenting an updated analysis on the best way to play Bayonetta 3 so far. But before we get into that, I'd like to remind all of you who follow the progress of game emulation on Windows and Android that your support is crucial. So, don't forget to leave a like to help spread the word about this video. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates.
This video is offered by the members and Patreons of the channel. Thank you for your support.
Before we delve into the details of the improvements in the emulators for Bayonetta 3, I want to share my experience after waiting a few days following the initial fixes. It's important to mention that often when an emulator receives a fix, additional improvements may arise in the following days. I was impressed to see that indeed there were some notable improvements. Previously, playing Bayonetta 3 was a frustrating experience due to various issues like distorted textures and objects, rendering delays, sluggishness, and what was especially annoying, problems in real-time cutscenes with desynchronized audio. Let's start by talking about those real-time cutscenes. Both emulators had fixes for this issue, which was one of the main obstacles to considering the game playable. It was very frustrating to watch cutscenes in this way, which undermined the immersion in a fast-paced action game like Bayonetta. Now, by enabling the sync to frame rate of video playback option and unlocking the FPS, you'll hardly notice any delays. Subtitles and voice are displayed simultaneously, keeping your immersion intact. However, it's important to note that in Ryujinx, you can still notice this problem. Although it's not as severe as it was at the game's launch when audio and video were desynchronized by up to 5 seconds, the issues persist. Even with all shaders compiled, you may still encounter delays in cutscenes. So if you opt for Ryujinx, be aware that you'll have to deal with this issue, and the longer the cutscene, the greater the delay at the end. On Android, the options to play Bayonetta 3 are limited. EGNS is the only app that managed to run the game, though it has significant issues like audio delays, especially in real-time cutscenes, affecting immersion. Unfortunately, for those who don't have another option, they'll have to deal with these problems to play on Android.
Just hope you can keep up. Seems like these guys are built different than usual.
Now, regarding the comparative performance between the emulators, the settings used are available in the video description. We conducted tests at native resolution with the FPS unlocked, recording a total of 30 minutes on each emulator. During these tests, neither of the emulators showed significant crashes or steep FPS drops that would hinder gameplay. We explored various different areas, from small arenas to extensive cities, as well as scenarios with giant creatures and destructible cities, which were known to have poor performance in the video released at the end of August. There were noticeable improvements by Yuzu in all these scenarios. Now, the FPS rarely drops below 30, which is a significant improvement compared to the 18 FPS performance recorded during the previous video. As noted, Ryujinx has a notable advantage in terms of performance, with an average FPS almost always 10 ahead of Yuzu, as well as a higher maximum FPS. However, it's important to highlight that Ryujinx tends to cause more crashes when compiling new shaders and deals less efficiently with intense on-screen effects, resulting in a worse low 1% count in all tests conducted. Furthermore, micro-stuttering was observed in Ryujinx, which doesn't occur in Yuzu. Additionally, audio and video delay issues during cutscenes persist in Ryujinx. In summary, when making your decision between the emulators, it's crucial to consider your priorities. If performance is paramount, and you're willing to deal with some limitations, Ryujinx might be the ideal choice due to its consistently higher average FPS. However, if you value a smoother and more complete experience in real-time cutscenes, without worries about stutters or audio-video synchronization issues, it may be wiser to opt for Yuzu, even if it means slightly lower FPS performance. The final choice will depend on what is more significant for your gaming experience. We will continue to monitor the development of these emulators and provide updates as new improvements emerge. Now, let's analyze how Bayonetta 3 behaves on the only app capable of running it on Android. As I mentioned earlier, the game doesn't start on Skyline or Yuzu Early Access for Android. Both apps crash when trying to move past the stage selection menu. In EGNS, the situation is different. The game can be run, but with minor FPS drops, maintaining gameplay generally close to 30 FPS, with occasional drops to 20 FPS. While not the ideal experience, it's worth noting that this is a notoriously challenging game to run, even on PCs. Another issue to consider is the device's temperature. The more the device heats up, the worse the game's performance, and the shorter the battery life. As we saw in the example, my device reached 42 degrees Celsius, resulting in a performance drop of approximately 30 FPS to variations of up to 20 FPS. This analysis covered the highs and lows, allowing you to choose the best software for your gaming. I hope this video has been informative and helpful to you, and until next time.
これだから安物は嫌いなのよ。